Well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of their actions. WotC has gotten walloped on the stock market front, but before we get into that, of course, I want to remind everybody that this video is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures they'd like to play, whether it's for Castles and Crusades, for 5th edition D&D, or for the OSR. Old school is in play at the table, and you can find them on DriveThruRPG or on their website, hellebardegames.com. And of course, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, click the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications about all of our short interstitial videos, our 5 nights a week of classic RPG tabletop live streaming, and anything else extra that we do around here. So let's jump right into this, and this comes to us from ICV2. Of course, I will link to the article down below so you guys can read it. And it seems that their perfidy and shenanigans back in January have finally started to negatively pay off for Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. So let's go ahead and just have a quick gander at this article. And right there in black and white, WotC and digital gaming down in Q2. And Hasbro writes off $25 million on the D&D movie. So if you were hoping for a D&D movie cinematic universe and coming back and saying you don't know what the hubbub's about, it's great. Well, no, it's not so great. Sales in Hasbro's Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming segment were down 11% in Q2, from $419.8 million in Q2 2022 to $375.6 million this year, with Hasbro taking a $25 million write-off on the Dungeons & Dragons feature film. And note, that's not billions, that's millions. All right, that in corporate terms is not a lot of money. Magic the Gathering was a big reason for the sales decline. Magic sales were down 15% from $365 million in Q2 2022 to $311 in 2023, which the company attributed to the set timing of set releases. For the first half, Magic the Gathering sales were down 4% from $562 million in 2022 to $540 million in Q2 2023. Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond, The Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth were released near the end of the quarter on June 23rd, with management noting that the bulk of the revenue will be booked in Q3. We think The Lord of the Rings is more of an evergreen set than will have a longer tail, Hasbro CEO Chris Cox said in the conference call. The set is currently the second best-selling Magic set of all time. Our expectation is that within 7 months of it releasing, it'll be the #1 set of all time from Magic, Cox said. It should cross 200 million before the end of the calendar year. The last set that did that was Modern Horizons 2, and it took about 2 years for it to do that. D&D was up in the quarter, and segment results were also buoyed by a 33% increase in digital revenues behind D&D Beyond, which added nearly 2 million new registered users in the first half. Oof. And growth in Magic the Gathering Arena. Operating profits for the Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming segments dropped to $142 million from $225 million. Damn. In Q2 2022, which the company attributed to lower revenue, higher royalty expense associated with the Universes Beyond, and increased investments. Hasbro was bullish on the segment for the rest of the year, raising guidance from mid-single-digit growth to high single-digit growth behind positive set timing for Magic the Gathering and the release of a licensed video game, Dungeons & Dragons Baldur's Gate 3, which Cox asserted has the potential to be a game of the year and helped expand the D&D audience from the 80 million people that play tabletop RPGs worldwide to the 800 million that play digital RPGs. Hasbro took a $25 million write-down on Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, which released March 31st due to lower than expected box office receipts. With a write-down and lower profit contributions from WotC, Hasbro profits slipped from $219 million in 2022 to a $188.6 million loss in Q2 2023. Other factors included overall lower revenues and higher inventory closeouts related to the company's 16% reduction in inventory in the quarter. Hasbro revenues were down 10% to $1.21 billion from $1.34 billion in Q2 2022. The Q2 loss dwarfed the $22 million loss in Q1. And then there's a section, you guys can follow that link and check them out. And one thing I do want to point out that's kind of ancillary to this, Games Workshop slims down channel, BattleTech bulks up, D&D declines, and again, I will link to this below. But what is relevant to us is, on the other hand, supply of WizKids Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures improved during the season, even as demand on the Red Hot Dungeons & Dragons line appeared to ebb. The WizKids Minis were down slightly. A distributor observed. Well, I can tell you something, and this is just my speculation. Of course, I want to hear down below what you guys have to say all of this. I think the chickens are starting to come home to roost. I don't think Chris Cox can disguise it all that well. All of their missteps, all of their screwing the fans, all of their attacking their fan base, particularly with Magic the Gathering, and sending the frigging Pinkertons after a YouTuber. I think all of that is having a net negative effect. And they can play with numbers all they want and talk about, oh, it's only a minor dip and so on and etc. But it's right there in black and white. Okay? They took a loss on the D&D movie. The Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures aren't selling that well. And I don't care what they have to say about, oh, we predict that the Magic the Gathering, Lord of the Rings are going to be the biggest sellers ever. Because honestly, this is the company that was breaking their arms, patting themselves on the back about being the most ethical company and how shining their profits were. The black eye that they gave themselves starting back in January of this year is not going away that easily. And many of you folks said, wait until after the next quarter. That's when we'll see the losses start to pile up. And you guys were right. So, again, I want to know what you guys think. Leave a message down below in the comments and let me know, if you've got a good investment mind, if if this is kind of your field. Of course, I want to hear, maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me, but just let me know in the comments below. And until then, of course, as I've said before about these situations, hold on to your cash with both hands. Peace.